Mkhwanazi made a very important statement about quite a number of things, but this is something you really want to listen because it's something recent, like isn't recent, right? I think he made it on the 19th of August. I'm not sure. I think it's around there when he made this statement. Now, part of the things that he said is talking about the root cause of problems, right? I may disagree with him so far as root cause are concerned. And I will tell you why I'm saying some of the things he said, I disagree with them so far as root cause is concerned. Not necessarily that I disagree with the actual crime. But I want you to listen to what he's got to say, right? There is somewhere where I felt like, yeah, but obviously I don't have the benefit of talking to the general himself and understand his aspect there. So my disagreement on that aspect is basically to say, I wish there was a bit of an explanation so far as this is concerned. You will notice that it's coming up. So I will ask you to listen. It's probably a 10-minute presentation that I want you to listen. I will ask you to listen very attentively what the general has got to say. And after listening, then what I'm going to do, I'm going to come back with my commentary. So dissect each and every, like, please, do me a favor. Pay attention to each and everything that he's got to say. Pay attention to that. Because I want us to talk about some of the things that he raised here, right? I want us to talk about that. So let me then give you the video, Mkhwanazi. I want you to listen to that here.
So therefore, we're able to balance when you do assessment on how you look red and how the community is satisfied about your performance, and we're able to give you good marks as a result. So it's quite a tricky performance assessments that we do. We don't chase number of arrests. We actually discourage arresting for no reason. We arrest if you really have to, if the crime is committed, and it is a serious crime. It's not something that people can mediate on. Then we remain in good terms. So as is here, we've categorized this crime in terms of 17 reported cases, but the main ones that are concerning us are the ones that where human beings affected personally, where people come and threaten you, and they rob you, or they assault you, they rape you, or they kill you, something like that. So it's those that are priority. We refer to them as conduct crime. So when you look at the total conduct crime, Honorable Premier, eThekwini performed relatively well in the last quarter. That there was a reduction of minus 1.3% in terms of crime that was reported at eThekwini in this reporting period. When you see here, this is a total conduct of crime that we are tracing. Of course, there's different categories here. According to their seriousness, murder, sexual offenses, and so forth, going down. You will notice all the time, assaults, common robberies will always remain a problem for us. There are many reasons for that. But here's our biggest concern also, sexual offenses. As you can see here on this presentation that is red, looks red, which means our men in this province remains animals. We don't respect females. We still treat them that bad. It therefore means the men in this room, which are the majority as I can see, we are not doing enough to reach out to our fellow colleagues out there to be able to speak sense to them. Do not go on television and talk, because people don't watch TV, the bad ones, they don't listen to your television. Go house to house, find them in places where they converge and drinking spots, and talk some sense to them. So until you switch on the television in the pub and play a victim of gender-based violence in the TV screen while they are watching soccer match, pause on the social match and let them watch the reality that you face. If we go out in those areas and we promote such, we might start reaching out to the real people who are causing problems. Because most of the time they don't focus on serious news. They're more social. They go and drink, they watch game, they go home, they feed their wives. that's really what we see. And when you analyze this, in the main, you find it within the township. That's where it happens. So rapes and sexual offenses, some of them might not be reported, especially in the rural areas. We have Honorable Premier, a forgotten district in this province. I don't know for whatever reason that is forgotten. Umzinyati district. It is the source of criminality in this province, in the country at large. Almost every hitman you get gets recruited from. These are youngsters where the polygamy, it's a culture, it's a common thing. Just go around and find any boy that comes from there, you ask them, who's your father? They say, my father is so and so. I don't know my father. My father gave birth to myself and 2 siblings, and he had also another wife with another family, and he went to Johannesburg, he worked in the mine, he never came back. And we grow up, we have to fend for ourselves, we have to figure out how to navigate this life. And while on that, you also get a ubabomnane who comes, and when the father dies, angene umama, and made your mama pregnant, and forget about these children of his brother. And so when these boys grow up, they grow up not knowing what to do, and they get recruited. They get recruited and they end up committing crime. So that's what we've seen most of the time when we analyze our crime. So what we see happening in our crime, it is because of somewhere where we are not fixing a problem. We are dealing with the outcomes. We're not analyzing the root causes of why people do what they do. We have to go back into that and deal with it. So without wasting much of your time on this one, a total of our cases, as you can see here, 17 community reported crime of eThekwini, there was a decrease of -2.7%. So I do hope that the business is going to be quite happy when they see this. They should come back and invest more of eThekwini as we see crime going down. We do our level best to recover firearms. As you can see here, there is more firearms that have been found here at eThekwini. In the last quarter, of a period of 3 months, the eThekwini alone as a district, they recovered 294 firearms. And they remain the highest number of firearms recovered in the province. Most of them come from eThekwini district. So that is our problem. We want to do more on drugs. But drugs, we're not recovering as much as we can. I can simply say, Premier, the head office have listened to us. They've made money available, so we'll be able to buy mobile scanners to be able to search all these trucks that are moving on our roads. Because CO and then the colleagues, Ms. Spirit, will be bringing all the shipments from outside the country. And in those shipments, there are a lot of bad things inside. And they themselves also don't know as importers. They don't have a clue what is inside their container. Because these criminals, they take a lift, they open the seal and they put things there and they close it off again. And they offload these things before they reach their warehouses. So that's the modus operandi they do. So we hope once we have scanners to be able to scan these containers, is going to increase our level of recoveries as the police. So I don't want to waste much of the time. What you see here in the following slide is just the really breakdown of stations that are in the top. There are 42 stations at eThekwini. The top 10 stations are the ones that are reflected on the screen. By and large, eThekwini being the busiest one, that's where majority of people come in and do business, and they commute between here and other parts of the city. Phoenix remains a problem in the main with drug abuse as well as alcohol. Chatsworth, we have similar problems there. Informal settlements, it's the one that is troubling us in the main. Inanda is always a talk of time. What you see, as we have listed here on the side, it's how we are rating these politicians out of top 10 as the province of KwaZulu-Natal and how they are rated at national. So when you see Durban Central in the last quarter being #1 contributing station in crime in the country, in the province, it was the same in the country. So they remain the most contributing station in crime. So Durban Central, Cape Town Central, Johannesburg Central have a similar problem. Because people come in here to come and do business and they leave. There's a lot of pickpocketing and robberies, you name it. So there's a lot of cases that get generated in the nation. On weekends, you hardly find crime in those police stations. During the week, it's a bad place to be, because that's where economic activities are happening. Wonder why business will move out. So I'm going to, for the sake of time, Pima, just leave it here. I felt that I must just indicate the state of policing at Ethekwini, but there are different crimes that we're monitoring. I feel that I must only highlight those that are more of a concern for us. Contact crimes, as well as some trio crime of robberies and the like. But most of them, there's quite a good positive performance that you see coming from the Ethekwini district.
Okay, let's talk about let's talk about the root cause, because that's the word that he mentions the most. That when we deal with problems, we don't necessarily look at the root cause, right? So there's one aspect that I kind of felt like, that's very interesting. When you talk about the root cause in relation to GBV cases, because I was like, wait a minute. When you look at the stats, say GBV, you'll generally, first of all, when you think of GBV these days, it is a name that is mostly associated with a man abusing women, right? But it's never, GBV by definition is not that. Basically, it just means that it's an abuse that happens in a family setup where people should be protected. One. So when you then talk about that, my worry is, what is the root cause of false GBV cases, right? We're gonna use proven cases. The case of Lady Zama and Java, for instance. But there are so many of these cases. I once watched a video from an individual, I think it was from Owam's YouTube channel. That guy was explaining how he served months behind bars, Sun City to be specific, because he took this girl who wanted money from him, but because he did not give this lady money, this lady then go on and open a case against him. She doesn't even attend that case until that case eventually got dropped because there was lack of evidence. But he served, and it then gets registered as GBV on the stats. Do you see what I'm saying? When they look at people that they arrested on a specific month, that guy whose case was later dropped, if they were to present a GBV stats, few months after his arrest, he appears. Do you see what I'm saying? But we do know good things like that happens where GBV is used as a tool to punish other people, and some, they are lucky enough to escape. We recently saw a case of a man called Gugu in KZN who now, I don't know how far that story is. It emerges that he never committed that GBV case that he's in prison for. That story was trending probably beginning of maybe first quarter, around March, April. It was trending. So I'm saying, we often look at the stats like totality and say, maybe let's say there are 15,000 reported GBV, and we then talk from the numbers, right? We don't sit and say, wait, out of these cases, how many of these cases were actually real cases? And then look at the root cause from there. And then we go to this other side as well and say, the ones who are reporting false GBV, what is also the root cause and how to deal with that? Because I don't hear that aspect. And it's very, very important. It's very important because there are people who, I saw a guy from TikTok who said he's got a large number of files, volumes, where men are showing evidence that I'm in prison for a case I never committed. In fact, leave that guy. I don't know if that thing still happens because it's been a long time I last followed on radio station or even listened to radio stations. But on Okoza FM and from 9 to 12, Jabulu Jule from Umam to Koza, there was this segment that they had which says Nipap Gebeng. So this other time they interviewed a guy who was arrested and sentenced at Pietermaritzburg High Court for, I think he was sentenced to 21 years. He served 11 years out of the 21 and he was out, and his release came as a result of newly found evidence after he has already served 11 years in prison. I know you will say at that time he was probably eligible for parole, but he was released because new evidence proved that he didn't commit that crime, but he was already sentenced. Right. So you see, there are cases like that. And when we talk about GBV, we normally speak of it from the side of, okay, there's GBV, but we normally don't distinguish that there is actually real GBV. Then there is this GBV that is people are using to punish other people. So when we discuss the cause, I would also like us to discuss the cause from these two, right? And deal with this group of people that punishes people using GBV. Like the case that I'm telling you, the case of Gugu, that woman is said, I'm not sure, guys, here, I did not follow the story until the end, but it emerges at the time when I last followed the story that the sister or the custodian, the guardian to a specific child lied about this child being raped by Ugogo. It was the opposite. Did you see what I'm saying? But a man's life is ruined. And on the stats, it will reflect that this is a GBV thing. So it creates the anxiety around the GBV thing. And maybe the other point that is worth mentioning is this one. You know, when you look at this and you felt like the scourge of people reporting or using GBV as a way to punish other people, it's worrisome, and I'm going to tell you why. Because there are people who suffer the real consequences. So when they now report and they are not believed, it will hurt more. And when it comes to this topic, I've said quite a number of things. We are building from what Mkhwanazi said and maybe going a little bit deeper. And I said, I've never heard feminists rebuking this group of people who are using GBV as a tool to punish other people when that GBV did not actually occur, because when the actual victims comes out, they are less believed. And it hurts the progress, so far as GBV is concerned. But you don't hear these organizations speaking about it and saying, guys, you cannot do this. They don't come out and condemn it and say, no, the false one. But going back to Mkhwanazi, I would love to have us discuss this, because we now know that there is false and there is true GBV that is happening at the same time. The same way there is true arrest in terms of police generally, and there's false arrest, hence they have been sued over 10 billion for wrongful arrest. Do you see what I'm trying to say? That there is arrest that is supposed to happen and there's wrongful arrest. It is happening even with the police. So it then verifies the point of true and false. With that being said, I want you to tell me what you thought about this. I'm interested to hear us discussing that. It is very, 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 it will be very interesting to hear us discussing the cause of this problem and the damage it creates to the real victims. If you are maybe in any of these organizations, I would like you to talk to me about it. Let's use this opportunity to speak about it. Like, how Or when do you think, or when are we going to start seeing organizations that defends women? Because GPV, oh, by the way, there's another point that I want us to discuss. GPV basically is GPV when a man abuses a woman, according to others. But I would like us to talk about it, Ugotu. When do we stand up and rebuke those who are punishing these women? Oh, there is another GPV that I saw. I've seen so far, I think 2024, I've seen about 2 to 3 different videos where a woman beats a man. That's it. By the way, it still falls under GPV. I saw this other video where a lady was threatening this guy that you can't divorce me, and physically threatening this guy that, you can't break up with me. They were not married. This lady was telling this guy that you can't break up with me. Those things falls under GPV because she was physically threatening the guy, and you can tell that the guy is scared of this woman. And so they even got some varam claps there. Pa pa pa. We are not breaking up. Physically so. That's another thing that we don't talk about it. I also saw a video. I think it is somewhere around KZN, if I'm not mistaken. Judging from what I was hearing from the sound, I saw that video where, hey, this woman, I was beating this guy thoroughly. I know the guy was thoroughly beaten there. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Such, because most of the time when you speak about this GPV thing, it's men. Yeah, and I get it. It's generally we have the muscles, so we are able to pull the real punch. I get it and I understand it. I'm just saying there's this aspect that I'm seeing. In fact, I once lived in a place, let me not be specific. Let me not be specific because they will know. Just to give you an idea, the guy, his name is my name. We share the same name. If you know, you know. The woman is a Xhosa woman. I'll leave it there. The guy used to be thoroughly beaten. And that thing happened around 2009. Right. Somewhere around Fosloras. I'm done. Let me not go anywhere further. The guy used to be thoroughly beaten. It's funny that I saw GPV happening. So a friend of mine was living in a house where, that year I saw serious GPV. So, guys, now that I remember about this, it balances the approach that I'm coming up with. So I had a friend of mine. So I was living in this street. He was living on the other street. Where he was living, the guy that I say, he was beaten by his girlfriend. They were living together, cohabitation. They were living together. The wife, inverted commas because they were not married, literally, but they were living together. The wife used to beat this guy thoroughly. The guy used to get beaten thoroughly. And then, where I stay, there was a couple. They were from Zimbabwe. The guy will visit sometimes. Oh, that guy used to thoroughly beat the wife. Oh, okay. Also, they were not married, but cohabitation. The guy will travel and disappear and come back. We were living in a same house of sort of. So we are renting in the same house, but different rooms. You understand? But we're using the same. It's like this place. They call it this place where you are sharing. I forgot the right word. But we're using the same kitchen. Sitting room and kitchen is the same. Kitchen is the same. We're just renting in different rooms. So when she get beaten, there's no way you wouldn't understand it. There's no way you wouldn't hear it. She was thoroughly beaten. Then when you say, go to the police station, she didn't want to. We tried begging her, go to the police station, she wouldn't. So what I'm saying is, we have seen literal GPV. by both men and women. Both these two genders beating the other gender. Men beating a woman, woman beating a man. We have seen it. Like, phew. So when it is addressed, ordinarily, it is addressed at a general scale. So we use the numbers and say, generally, it is the man that does this. And then we only address men. We don't necessarily say, hey, there's this side too. There's this side that is also toxic that needs to be dealt with. But also GBV cannot be physical only. Hey, let's people come for me in the conversation below. GBV cannot only be limited to physical. That's why there is emotional gender based, there's emotional GBV, there is financial GBV, there's all sorts of GBV. I say this because most men, including myself, we have suffered GBV, not the physical aspect of GBV. If I could, you would be shocked that I have a warrant of arrest against a female and the protection order against a female who till today refuses to back down. She still persists. She wants to do what she wants to do till today. Do you see what I'm trying to say? That there is that aspect where a person constantly abuses the other person. Yes, she can abuse me physically, but there's this abuse to an extent. This other time she wants to come. GBV, guys, is very deep. It's me opening up a bit here. I'll tell you the story. I used to live, okay, I'm not sure how tall I am. I don't have the accurate numbers, but when I'm standing there, I used to live in a house where the gate was this tall, a little bit taller than me. There was a female, guys, that used to jump that gate and forcefully, the gate, I locked the gate. She will jump that gate and wants to enter my place by fire, by force. And why are you here? No, I just want to see you. So, but I locked my gate. Why are you jumping my gate? No, you can't lock my gate when I want to see you. Do you see what I'm trying to say? This person can't abuse you physically because you are a man, you have got that strength. But that person abuses you in all aspects of the word abuse. I'm talking about something that I myself suffered. I remember this other time I was talking to Ntsegima Zoya about it. Not long ago, by the way. I think at least this year or last year, we're speaking about it. But I'll do a separate video where we speak about it. To an extent that for me to move this person away from me, I had to get a protection order and a warrant of arrest and say, hey, you can't force me to do this. You can't force me to be in a relationship with you. No, you're not going to do that. I'm not going to do it. Why? I'm talking about something that has happened to an extent that I've had, this person has called people to intimidate me, forcing me to be with her by fire, by force. I'm saying that's type of GBV that we don't talk about it. Right? I'm saying there's more to these things that we don't talk about it, but generally we talk about this one aspect. There's also financial GBV, by the way, emotional abuse, where, say for instance, you tell your wife to stay at home, but then maybe because of whatever differences that you have in the house, you're no longer supporting her. Vice versa. Hey, do you know that you females, you can be very abusive, emotional abuse. Women can complain about this, but if you want to see emotional abuse and financial abuse, real one. I saw a video not long ago. Give a woman money or let a woman earn equals to you and see. I've seen it. And women, they have a way of justifying it. They say, women never submit to a man they earn equals to. If she's earning equals to you, women never submit to that. That's nonsense. That's ridiculous. That's people justifying cruelty. But they justify it. And so we've seen people disrespecting their boyfriends and, you know what I'm saying? because you can't be earning the same money as me. You need to earn more than me, right? For me to respect you. That respect is basically transactional. What I'm trying to say is, I think when we talk about the cause of GBV, it's very deep. It's very, 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 very deep, very deep, very deep. The cause is something else. But get into the conversation below. Give me your thought and your opinion about it. I'm very interested in this topic because I don't see investments from government. I don't see investment from all the organizations. They are happy to talk about it from a distance and condemn it, but to sit down and say, okay, now we are dealing with this head on. What is the cause? Because when you talk about the cause, you will realize that the female species can claim victimhood. Can claim the victim spot, but they can be very manipulative, very dangerous when you talk about emotional abuse, financial abuse, when you give them money. But I do not also deny the fact that there are men who goes all the way to tell their women to stay at home, and because of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squabbles or whatever, or because they found new love, then you are no longer supporting the person you said they must sit at home. No, if you make that demand that the person must sit at home, you must support your partner whether you are angry, whether you are happy, whether they made you angry. It does not matter, because of the agreement you had that she must sit at home. You must support her whether it's raining or it's sunshine. It does not matter. Just stick to your promise.